Hi! So today I wanted to talk about why it's so important that we get more females in engineering and STEM fields. If you look at the stats, only 13% of employed engineers are females. Now, if we focus only on Latinas, we're only make up between 2 to 3% in the STEM fields, not just engineering. So my chances of running into a female Latina engineer are pretty much non-existent. And the urge to have those role models are there. We need them to get more Latinas into these STEM fields. And we just don't see those stats growing. So why don't we see more females in engineering? It's not like we're not smart enough. And it's not like we're not going to college already. But why aren't we picking these careers? If we really want inclusion as females, we need to be represented on all areas. We live in a world where women are being way more independent. We are not destined to just be married to someone and become housewives. We're going out there, we're striving for higher education, for better positions, for more successful careers. So why aren't we trying to get those women to look into engineering? Because if you think about it, engineering is so broad and there are so many different types of engineering that we can go into. So if you can definitely find something that you like within engineering from all the different types that you can do with engineering. So like if you don't like robotics or you think it's too manly, you can go into biomedical, you can go into environmental engineering, you can go into biomedical engineering if you like medicine. There's just so much to pick from. Part of the reason why it took me so long to pick engineering and that I wouldn't have picked it if it wasn't because of that influence in my family of having an engineer, which was my dad, was because I wasn't introduced into it early enough. I didn't really know what engineering was. The only thing I knew about engineering was that it was a successful career because my dad had made a living out of it and we had a good living. So that was the only thing that I had to guide myself into engineering that was attractive. You had a secure future. But what exactly was it engineering and what were my options? I had no idea. I went into college, I went into high school, and I would not push myself into taking classes that would teach me about engineering because it was just never mentioned. It was typically more like, oh, take the sewing class or take the cooking class. But why were those more important than me taking a class that was going to teach me other things that weren't the usual for a female? About engineering is more a way of living than a major itself. It is made up of so many different things, and I think the most critical thing for engineering is just problem solving. If you like figuring out how things work, if you want to fix things, if you want to just create, then engineering is for you. When we think of engineering, we typically think of the most common types of engineering, which is mechanical, civil, electrical, manufacturing. But what about all the other areas that there are to explore within engineering? If you like fashion, you can be an engineer that focuses on fashion items. If you like sports, you can focus on that, but still be an engineer. There's definitely a lot of areas that you can get into based on the preference that you have. I think what we're lacking is just getting this out there to girls as they're continuing into their education, in early education, where putting it in a way where they can understand what it is and not think of something that just requires a lot of math, a lot of science, and you having to be really smart. Because, and I've talked about it a lot, to be an engineer, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need that dedication and that passion to do it. One of the things that got me to start this blog and my website was that I just saw things differently than the other engineers and that I always felt like I wasn't just like the other engineers. And I don't want this to be the norm. I don't want it to be like, oh, you're a female engineer, you're like this much percent and you're so special, because we're not. We can do the same job as any other person as an engineer, and it should be just in general that there should be a lot of female engineers out there. So what are the benefits of being an engineer? And why should we push women to do engineering more? Engineering provides a stable career. This is the thing that got me the first to look into engineering. I just knew that it was a stable career. I wanted to know that I was going to have a successful career, that I wasn't going to struggle. Like I already mentioned, there's a lot of types of engineering that you can do. Or you can do a very generic engineering, like in my case, I did mechanical engineering, and then you can go into so many different roles and so many different industries. So having one major does not mean that you have to be stuck with a job title that specifically almost identical to your major. Engineers make good money. Maybe not rich, but you won't be struggling to make ends meet. You will have a salary position and you will be able to say, I have my job that I enjoy and I have good money enough to have my family and be able to enjoy other things. You learn the fundamentals of STEM in engineering. And STEM typically just lets you explore the world. If you're hungry for more, if you want to keep learning, if you want to know how things work, this is what STEM focuses on. Just wanted to learn what surrounds you and how things work. Engineer is challenging, but at the same time that it is challenging, it is so rewarding. Being able to know how things work or having that privilege to be able to design something and see come to life and maybe see it help other people. For example, if you're in biomedical, you can create instruments that are used in the healthcare. And lastly, if you're a female and if you're a Latina and you're going into engineering, you're changing the world. You're making a change. You're changing the stats. You're bringing those numbers up, and you're not just getting an engineering degree. You're not just getting an engineering job. You're bringing so many other girls with you because by looking at you becoming an engineer and knowing that someone like them was able to do it, they believe in themselves to do it too. They are more inspired to do it too. So, if you want to change the world, if you want to make a difference, if you want to learn how things work, you should definitely go for engineering. If you like this video or you're going through engineering school, if you want to learn more about tips and tricks to how to get through engineering school, please give me a follow and subscribe and like this video. Thank you.